Tonight, we bring you an incredible story that proves the power of kindness. A young black waiter, struggling to make ends meet, noticed two hungry orphans outside his hotel. Without thinking twice, he shared his own meal with them, expecting nothing in return. But what happened 22 years later would change his life forever. A luxury car, a heartfelt reunion, and a reward he never saw coming. This is a story that will restore your faith in humanity. Every evening, when the hotel lights flickered on and the world outside rushed past, the black waiter tied his apron and stepped into another long shift. His shoes were worn, his hands rough from work, but his heart remained gentle. One night, near the back entrance of the hotel, he noticed two small figures, two orphans, thin, quiet, and watching plates of food as if they were dreams. He knew hunger, he knew what it meant to be invisible. Without hesitation, he did something no one would ever applaud. He split his own meal, the one he had saved all day for, and placed it gently in front of them. No speeches, no cameras, just kindness. He didn't know their names. He didn't ask their story. He simply fed them, believing that sometimes survival begins with one warm plate and one compassionate soul. The children stared at the food as if it might disappear. Their hands trembled not from fear but from disbelief. The waiter smiled softly, encouraging them to eat. He didn't rush them. He didn't ask for thanks. In that quiet moment, beneath flickering streetlights and the hum of the hotel kitchen, something powerful happened. For the first time in a long while, the children felt safe. Each bite carried more than nourishment. It carried dignity. The waiter stood nearby, guarding them with his presence, making sure no one chased them away. He returned to work afterward, wiping tables and carrying trays, unaware that this small, silent act was planting a seed that would grow across decades. To him, it was just food. To them, it was hope. Years passed, and the waiter's life followed the same rhythmly mornings, late nights, and little recognition. Promotions passed him by. Customers rarely remembered his face, but he never allowed bitterness to take root. Every day, he showed up with honesty and quiet pride. He helped new staff, treated guests with respect, and occasionally slipped food to those who needed it most. He never spoke about the orphans. That moment lived only in his heart. Life tested him with financial strain, loneliness, and exhaustion, yet he held on to one belief: kindness was never wasted. He didn't know if the children survived. He didn't wonder about rewards. He simply kept going, trusting that doing good was reason enough. For the two orphans, that meal became a memory they carried like a flame through dark times. They spoke of it often, the man who fed them when no one else would. That kindness became their anchor. Years later, against impossible odds, they studied, worked, failed, and rose again. Whenever the world felt cruel, they remembered that waiter's calm smile. His generosity shaped their values, teaching them that compassion could alter destiny. As they grew older, success followed, not suddenly, but steadily. And through every achievement, they carried one promise in their hearts: if they ever found him again, they would return the kindness that saved them. Time moved forward, quietly erasing footprints but not memories. The waiter grew older, his hair streaked with gray, his posture slightly bent from years of labor. The hotel changed owners. New faces replaced old ones, yet his routine remained unchanged. He had no idea that somewhere in the world, two lives were unfolding because of him. He believed that night long ago had faded into nothing, but life has a way of weaving unseen paths, of bringing full circles where beginnings once seemed forgotten. And one ordinary morning, destiny began its final approach. The sound of an engine, unlike any other, echoed through the hotel driveway. Staff paused. Guests turned their heads. A pristine Rolls-Royce glided to a stop, its polished surface reflecting the sunlight like a mirror. Whispers filled the air. Who would arrive here in such a car? The waiter stood frozen, tray in hand, feeling out of place in his worn uniform. The car door opened slowly, deliberately, as if time itself had slowed. Two well-dressed individuals stepped out, scanning the entrance not for luxury. Not for attention, but for one familiar face from a distant past. Their eyes met his, and everything changed. The waiter felt his breath catch as they walked toward him, emotion written across their faces. One of them spoke his description perfectly. The night, the food, the kindness. His hands began to shake. Memory rushed back like a wave. These weren't strangers. These were the children. Grown. Successful. Standing before him as living proof that compassion survives time. Tears welled in his eyes as realization settled in. In that moment, the years of struggle faded, replaced by something far more powerful: validation of a life lived with heart. They embraced him like family, ignoring the crowd, the stares, the noise. They thanked him, not once, but again and again, telling him how that single act kept them alive, how it gave them strength when the world offered none. The waiter could barely speak. He had never imagined this. He insisted he had done nothing special. But they knew better. Their voices cracked as they told him who they had become and why. The reunion wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It was sacred. A quiet confirmation that love, once given, never disappears. Then they handed him the keys to the Rolls-Royce. Gasps filled the air. But the waiter didn't see a car. He saw a symbol. A circle completed. Esh tried to refuse, his humility intact, but they insisted not as payment, but as gratitude. They explained that success meant nothing unless it honored the people who made it possible. The Rolls-Royce wasn't about wealth, it was about acknowledgement, about saying, "You mattered. You still matter." The waiter held the keys, overwhelmed, realizing that kindness had quietly returned to him, multiplied by time. The story spread through the hotel and beyond, inspiring everyone who heard it. The waiter continued working, unchanged in spirit, but strengthened in faith. He smiled more. He walked taller. He reminded others that greatness isn't found in titles or riches, but in moments when you choose humanity over indifference. And somewhere between the clink of dishes and the hum of conversation, a powerful truth settled in. One meal can change a life, and one kind heart can echo across generations. Because kindness, when given freely, always finds its way home. This story proves that even the smallest act of kindness can change lives in ways we never expect. Remember, generosity always comes back in surprising ways. Thank you for watching Miracles of Kindness.